This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with a Miele dishwasher that has a noisy fill valve and is not filling very well or very fast and often gets the intake drain light error. So we're going to put in this new fill valve. Here's the part number. And this is not the Miele fill valve. This is just a generic one that cost a lot less. The Miele one comes in at about $220. This is just a common one that's used on most other types of dishwashers. This is a little brass elbow that you have to get to that goes along with it. It doesn't come with the parts, you have to buy that separately. But yeah, this dishwasher is just making like a machine gun noise during the fill cycle, and then the intake drain light comes on. So the valve is probably not fully opening, it's just kind of going back and forth. Here's the sound it's making. This is the old valve. So we turned off the power and we turned off the water, and now we're going to remove the compression fitting on the old valve. Just spin that off. Use a wrench to loosen it, and then just take it off. Again, make sure you've turned off the water. And we got a little towel down there to catch water that might come out. I'm going to run the fill line into this little jar just to make sure there's no sediment. So I'm going to run some clear water just to make sure there's nothing caught in this hose. So that water looks great. And now we're going to do the procedure. We're going to pull this old fill valve out toward us. Usually they give you a pretty long line here from Miele, and we use a screwdriver to pry off the old case. Here's a close-up. Just have to pry in a couple of spots with a standard head screwdriver. You can get that case off. Now I'm going to take this plastic hose and pull it back. I'm going to use some vice grips to kind of keep it back about probably 1.5 feet. Give me some room to work. Then I'll use pliers to move this hose clamp back about 10 inches and make sure it's unplugged. And I'm going to use my dikes to cut the wire connector right here near the solenoids, and I'll pull that through, and that's going to be the power that I'll use to power up the new fill valve. I'm going to measure probably about 8 inches away, and I'll cut through the tube using my diagonal pliers or dikes. I'll snip through that tube. You can use a razor knife too. And here's the old one. Again, Miele wants about $200 something for that, and you can probably get these little generic valves for about $40. So I'm going to push that in to the hose that goes to the dishwasher, and then I'll use my pliers to bring the hose clamp down on it. So I've got a good watertight connection. Now I'm going to take this power wire and split it, and then I'll strip off about 1/4 inch, and I'll put on these little spade connectors. You got to get these spade connectors at the hardware store, and they just crimp on to the wire, and that's what you're going to use to bring power to the new fill valve. So I've got both spade connectors on. So I put those on to the new fill valve. I've got my water line, I've got the power. Now I can loosen the vice grips and bring the tube back where it was. That kind of protects the power wire. And next I want to put the brass elbow in. So I put some Teflon tape around it so I get a watertight connection. And I put that on by hand, and then I use a wrench to get it a little bit tighter. So probably got to do about 3 more turns once you get it with the wrench. And that should give you a good watertight connection. And then I'll put electrical tape over the metal parts of those 2 spade conductors so that they won't touch anything metal underneath the sink. I've got my compression fitting back on there from the water coming from the house, and I used a couple of screws to secure the fill valve up against the wall underneath the sink, and then we're just going to test it out. So this is the Miele dishwasher. So it's got water coming in fine now. The water level should reach up to the bottom of the triple filter white handle. Then you know you've got the right amount of water coming in. So this one looks great. So the procedure worked really good. It only takes about probably 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And you'll save almost $200. So I'm just testing it here. I press the button until it flashes, and then I press it one more time, and that'll make it reset and drain all the water out. And then I'll start it up and just make sure that it's filling correctly without all that crazy machine gun noise. So that's the correct noise that we should hear. And this will work for almost all Miele dishwashers regardless of the model. There's the new one. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.